All right. Today, I'm very excited to have none other than Louisa. We've been working together for about, I want to say 5-ish months now, 4 or 5, since July. And yeah, she's an incredible coach, kind of the health, nutrition, performance space. She's a neuroscientist as well. And she helps people get a really, really good understanding of how the brain and body work in conjunction with each other as well. And yeah, I know I'll finish up a quick little intro and then I'll hand it off to you as well, Louisa. But I know when we first started, you're kind of doing like around 30, 40K a month, all in-person stuff. So it was all kind of like weekend workshops in person in New York City. And then what we did is between like kind of July and August, built out an online program. And then you also do some like one-on-one as well. And you just had a record $80,000 a month this month. So congratulations, amazing work. And yeah, I'll let you kind of take it from here. Just mind giving us a quick little rundown of kind of like who you are, your background, what you do, and
Yeah.
then we'll dive in.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm so excited to do this because I'm just so happy that you and I met. So, as you stated, neurophysiologist, neuroscientist. So, I was traditionally trained in that field, which is, mainly picking up on Alzheimer's disease. And, you know, I saw a really nice market for me to explore, which is the intersection of performance for athletes and non-athletes as well, and neuroscience, because no one was really coaching people on how to get your brain functioning at its peak. They were more so looking at the body. So you're right. I started a 2-day course, and this was actually back in like 2019, and then COVID happened. But all through 2021 and 2022, I was doing 2-day courses, which, it's an amazing program, amazing modules, but you can understand it was getting really tough. Okay, to like do these in-person conferences. We were having people flying in, therefore spending even more money on flights, coming in from like Ireland, England, just to come in. And I was really capped at doing like, I would say 3 a year because of the amount of time it took me to organize, find a space. I live in New York City. And it was expensive. So that's what I was doing. I think before I met you, the face to face, I think I'd done like 300 people, 300 or 400. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, you've been a blast to work with too, because you take direction and you run with it. And
Yeah.
yeah, so I just want to say like it's been a blast from my side. And yeah, do you mind kind of like walking through like what were some of like the biggest things that led to kind of your like explosive growth when it comes to like kind of the online side of things? Like what was it like making that transition and then starting to get some traction with it?
So, first of all, I'll set the stage for everybody. When you learn medicine, okay, you really are in that field. And I write manuscripts, I write, scientific articles, which require a lot of my mental energy, which means that I didn't really know too much about business. The reason why I was actually able to get the amount of people that I did prior to coming to you was just due to, I have a well-performing podcast and Instagram profile, but that wasn't enough. So I knew nothing actually about ads. I just knew that something had to give. And I didn't even think, to be honest, I didn't think of doing online until you and I met. Now, you said I take direction well, and it's because I know that I don't know everything. Like when you have something wrong with you, okay, let's just say you need your leg amputated. You're not going to try and attempt it yourself. Okay. You're going to go to somebody who's registered in that space, a doctor, to do that. And I think that with every aspect of life. So I take direction from you because I'm like, okay, I paid you, I put my trust in you. So I'm going to do exactly what you said. And it's worked out well. So when I first came to see you, you were like, it makes sense to do this online. And I actually had no idea what that meant. And as soon as you taught me how to do that, I pretty much copied your model where, I built an online, I did the modules that I do in person. I just filmed them exactly the same way you did.
Mhm.
And I just started recruiting people. I've changed things up, by the way, but yeah, I just started recruiting people for the online program, and from there, I'm telling you, my entire life has changed. It's like, because people are like, oh, I don't have to fly there. I can just do this from like, I've got people from Slovakia. I have Cyprus. I have Greece. I have New Zealand, Australia. Like, it is just unbelievable. It's like the United Nations, this program. And it's like people all over the world. And now with the right equipment, it's like, why did I not do this sooner?
Hmm. That's powerful
Yeah.
because you just pretty much shrunk the whole world into just online, which is so cool. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, one thing that really hit me recently, a few months ago, I sent like a message, a broadcast to my Slack channel. It was like, "Oh, are you sure you want to send this to like 100+ members in like 15 time zones?" I'm like, "This is crazy!" Like,
Yeah. Well, Slack as well. I didn't, you talk, just through going through this program, it's like, this is a really great way to communicate with everyone. And I have to tell you, my Slack group for my students, it's just pumping. Everyone's like just going, hey guys, look at this, look at that. I just like people are, they're meeting up as well. So it's creating a community as well.
yeah, yeah, the community is such a powerful aspect, and I know you've built some really strong connections too with other people in the community, like Tom, for example. I know you guys are doing a lot of mastermind and brainstorming as well, which is awesome to see. And like kind of taking a bit of a step back too. So, what advice would you have to somebody who is kind of like putting together that offer, kind of in the initial stages? They didn't really know how to package it up, how to position it, stuff like that. Like, was there anything that stood out for you? Any like keys that kind of enabled you to do that so quickly and effectively?
Yeah. Well, the one thing that you taught me, so the one thing I was doing wrong was I didn't have my target market, you know, being able to put that on the head of the pin. I was like just going out there and marketing to the world because I'm like, well, everyone has a brain and everyone, you know, is in human performance. We all want to perform better. So it's for everyone when it's not. And it's actually, I won't lie, it's still taking, like you said, I've been with you maybe 5 months now. It's still taking time to come to terms with that because you have to be strict in terms of thinking, oh, I can leave a lot of money on the table, but it's turned out for the better. So I think it would be, to answer your question, it is definitely like zoning in on
Mm,
the target market and getting them. And that's when you're getting the messaging right. When you taught me how to get the messaging right, I think that that's the biggest thing.
that's powerful. Yeah, because if your offer's for everybody, it's for nobody.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're kind of experiencing beforehand too. And I see a lot of people struggle with that as well. And yeah, I know like that definitely was something that we spent a good amount of time on too. Kind of just like bouncing back and forth ideas. I'm like, okay, like how can we refine this even more? And then
Yeah.
once it clicked, it clicked.
Yeah. And so I pre-filmed all my content, right? And I was recruiting people into the program. And basically they just go through the modules themselves. And what I found, because this is it's very like technical and it's for high performance coaches, okay, and high performance people. It's not for the general Equinox trainer, as you and I say. I realized going through the program that, I guess like a month into it, I thought these people need more guidance. So now I've shifted. It's now a 6-week program where we go through the modules together. So every Monday at 6 p.m. till 8 p.m., like we go through the modules and then we do an online Q&A, just like what you do, like the weekly
Mm,
coaching calls. And that I have now got it. I'm so happy. This is it. So now I feel like January is I'm going to go on a rocket. Like like I've perfected it. It's taken so many iterations, but this is it now.
that's incredible. Yeah, I'm excited to see what kind of damage you're able to do over the next few months here.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, the messaging is like that's kind of like the crux of everything because without that really clear, it's hard to market, it's hard to
Mm.
sell, it's hard to build something when you're not crystal clear on exactly who it's for and what's going to help them achieve, right? And then yeah, like the
And
more
you also
clear you
lose
get,
money. Yeah,
yeah,
but you also lose money because you put like, let's just say, like before you, I was just saying, hey guys, like I'm doing a course, and then I'd put like, $300 $400 to it on a reel, and it's just going to like the wrong people. So you're also wasting money.
100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. 100%. because I know you had run some ads in the past as well, and I know we kind of came up with some as well, and you've been blasting a good amount towards that. Um, what was kind of like what was the impact that had on your
Yeah.
business in terms of like leads, stuff like that?
I think the biggest thing, first of all, is you taught me what ads are. Okay. All I knew back then was just to boost a reel. But you taught me like front end, back end. You also taught me the funnel. So that was good. But I think what separated it apart, like you would know, the cost of the NAC program, which is my course, is 3,500. I remember like as soon as I advertised, I put $100 on, and I got like 2 sales. And you're like, that's, and I asked you if that was good. I remember that you're like, that's, yeah, 7,000 from a $100 ad is pretty good. I was like, okay, great. Then what if I put $200 down? So as soon as I learned the method that you taught me, it was so much more linear after that.
Yeah, and that's where I see a lot of coaches struggle too, because they don't have like a linear system. When you have
Yeah.
like something where it's like you put $1 in, you get 70 out.
Yeah.
And for people watching, that's not realistic. Don't
Yeah.
like we're not. No, it shakes out to a little bit lower, but nonetheless, um, yeah, it makes business a lot more predictable and
Mm,
consistent. And I
yeah.
think just as like an entrepreneur and a leader, it gives you peace of mind as
Mm.
well.
Absolutely. And I think also the fact that when you're in a community, like when you're alone by yourself as an entrepreneur, you literally, it's like, who do you talk to? The walls? Like was getting lonely, right? And then I think a lot of my success with you comes down to obviously you, but also your community. Like these weekly coaching calls are like, they're in my calendar, and they don't like, it is a, like, I don't do dinners at that time. I think it's like 5 or 6 p.m. for me on Thursdays. Like it's nothing is getting in between that because it's so valuable to me.
I appreciate that. And yeah, those calls are pretty crazy,
Oh my God.
especially when we dive deep too. Yeah,
Mm,
I'm excited for tomorrow's call. I got some good stuff for you guys too.
okay.
But yeah, nonetheless, what aside from that, like kind of digging a little bit deeper into the community side of things, what has that been like? Because I know obviously, and you just alluded to this as well, it's like it can be a lonely journey, but having people to link arms with is extremely important. I know that's been a huge factor for like my success too, is just kind of like surrounding yourself with the right people. Um, and then also kind of like a more pointed angle at this question, addressing the elephant in the room. Most of my clients are men.
Yeah.
What's that been like?
Well, I'll tell you quite frankly, all of my one-on-one clients. So everyone, I do have one-on-one clients that I work with, and they're all men. It's been my life. People make a joke saying you specialize in men, but it's like I actually am surround my entire, like, the people that I liaise with every day. So it's been actually really refreshing, because I'll tell you why. I'm a very direct individual, female, and the fact that this is male dominant, I actually love it. But I do welcome any
Awesome.
females out there that are willing to join as well. This would be good.
So do I.
Yeah.
But okay, that's good to know. And yeah, I know one thing like that I think you mentioned on our sales call initially like months ago, and then you brought it up again this week as well, was just about like some of the one-liners and just the funny stuff I say.
Yeah. That's what got
I
me
just
hooked.
I just find it so funny. But that just goes to show too. It's like you are the brand, you are the niche, and
Mm,
really lean into being more of like who you are will attract the right crowd. And
mm,
I know like you've got quite a good audience as well online. You've got a really successful podcast, and I'd imagine just really being more true to yourself and just being unapologetically yourself.
mm.
Like, do you want to kind of talk about that a little bit and just like how that naturally just attracts a lot of people to you? Because I'm sure a lot of your clients come to you for you.
Well, I mean, I hope so. In fact, you're actually making me become more comfortable with that. And that's another thing about the community, right? Because
Mm.
when you are by yourself, and like when I actually voice, it's like going to therapy, you voice your concerns, and the rest of the crew, like all these guys, when we do, in your crew, they're like, no, Louisa, like just get over it. Like it's, so a lot of the things you bottle up in your head. But I mean, for me, I know what I know. And don't get me wrong, there is a lot of, criticism that comes with the science world. I don't get that much criticism, thank God. And I think it's because I stay in my lane, and I do, I don't
Mm,
say anything stupid. I try not to. So, but I think I'm about, I would say 85% of the way there, maybe 90%. When I become 100% unapologetically me, I think A, my confidence is going to rise. B, my content game is going to just be up. Like I need to be posting more content. So that'll be even like increased. And because of that, I think it's just going to get rid of the people who don't like me and get the people who do like me and do buy into my thesis. And that's what's going to make me the money.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's gonna be some people watching this too that are kind of at like they're kind of been stuck around like 20 to 40K a month or so. Um, can you pinpoint anything specific that helped you break through to that 80K month mark? Is there anything that like you did differently over the last couple months? Is it just a matter of like the compound effect, like actually kicking in? What advice would you give somebody that wants to kind of hit that level?
When I do blood work, okay, on an individual, what we're looking for is I'm looking for deficiencies in their system. Okay, let's say, for example, I do your blood work and I say to you, you've got a vitamin D deficiency, you've got a zinc deficiency, you've got a copper deficiency. I'm looking at plugging those holes. So I'll get you to supplement with these things, right? And as soon as you plug those holes, you can then go and perform like a rocket, right? Because it's all uphill from there. So that's what I feel with this. I had to plug the holes first. And that meant I didn't have a CRM. You taught me about that. My ads were all over the shop. So I learned the top end and the middle, or the top of the funnel and the middle of the funnel. I learned my sales process. Okay. I learned how to, I put all my ducks in line. And I think that's when I truly started to break through. So that, 20, 30K mark, if you are plateauing, it's generally because you have a deficiency somewhere. But
Mm,
it takes a trained person to understand that. Like, I can't tell you the amount of people that come to me personally say, Louise, I've seen 20 doctors and X, Y, and Z. So it's like, okay, I can't just look at, they can't look at themselves and diagnose themselves. It takes a trained person. So when I came to you and I told you this, I was watching your YouTube for maybe a month, right? I just kept watching. It was summertime, so I was riding the bike and I just kept playing it. I booked a call with you, but before I actually scheduled it, it said, don't book this until you're ready. And I was actually scared. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't want to hand over that amount of money because I'm like, I don't know if this is going to be it. And then I just thought, you know what? It's not working right now. I'm plateauing. I'm like literally stagnant. So let's just see how we go.
hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's powerful too. And it's like easier said than done. Like that last point you just made, because when you're stuck and things aren't going as well as you want, you're like naturally, you kind of like fall into like defense mode, like
Yeah.
survival mode. And then you're not operating from an abundant state as well. So you don't want to give the resources away because you want to just hoard everything. But
Mm.
that's seriously when like I personally had the biggest breakthroughs is when I just like kind of force myself out of that. Because you're right. It's like if you're stuck, it's like keep doing the things that don't work, you're gonna keep getting the results you don't want.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was listening to a podcast the other day. It's like poor people are doing the wrong things,
Yeah.
rich people are doing the right things, and like it's literally as simple as that. And yeah, you're right. A lot of the time, like we don't know what's wrong with us. That's why I think I've got like 4 coaches right now.
Yeah.
Like,
You've got to subscribe to that thesis, right? My one-on-one clients, I do have a very high fee for that. But I'm not seeing the general population. It is the people who subscribe to my thesis they're the ones that I'm going to recruit, and everybody else, I don't want you. I don't go out and try and, you even tell us as well, like how to be super confident to the point where it's not a sales call, it's an onboarding call. And that's another thing I didn't know. I'm like, that kind of eliminates all the friction, right? Whereas before this, I was trying to just, whoever got in contact with me, I'm like, just, okay, yeah, this is for you. And that's not right. So it's powerful. I think the confidence thing is a really powerful thing. And then I actually was thinking about our call today, and I was thinking, like, you have to have confidence as well in money. Maybe it's because like I see this now, even with my girlfriends who are, I've got one friend most of them are doctors, right? But it's a fixed salary, whatever it is, it's a fixed
Mhm.
salary. And there's a scarcity mindset around that. And I never understood, but then I thought about it. It's like, oh, because next week they can't just say, hey, I'm going to like do this many ads and I'm going to make 100K. They can't think that way. And so it is scary at a time to think, I can't give $10,000 away. But it's just, yeah, yeah, I can't. I'm so happy I did that because, yeah.
Yeah. And I've always found too, it's like when you invest into like a coach or a new program, it's like, yes, it's like to get their help for the deficiencies and kind of plug in the holes. But also, like, personally, I find it's more so just like a way for me to kind of put my money where my mouth is and like actually make that internal decision myself to go all in and to actually do it and actually commit and actually make it work. And then it's crazy because it's like the more you pay, the more you pay attention kind of thing. So it's like now I have to like kind of like fork out quite a bit for me to like for it to really catch my attention
Mm-hmm.
and for me to take it really seriously. So there's definitely levels to it. But yeah, I'm curious. So you went from like 30 to 40 a month with the in-person stuff. And then pretty much once that kind of wrapped up, basically down to zero with the online side of things. And then and ramped up pretty quickly in a matter of, I think only like 3 months since like you actually started like launching the online and building that out and stuff like that. Hit 80 this month. What's next for you?
So it's a 6-week program. So this will finish. So essentially we do these in 6 weeks. I'm hoping maybe we bring that down to a 4-week program. But first of all, I just want to say I'm so happy doing what I'm doing. Like the program is set. So now it's about how can I get, I would love to recruit 50, right, into a 6-week program. So I think the next thing is for me is I also like, I have a podcast as well and I get one-on-one clients. So my time is limited. I'm actually going to
Mhm.
talk to you about this. Like, I really want to bring on a full-time editor that's just pumping out content because I do a lot of content. I have, I need someone working like literally full-time on the books. That's their entire responsibility is putting Louisa out there. The second thing is you honed in a lot on testimonials, which, so I'm now like, I'm starting to do that and putting them online because I know that maybe they're not doing well. We've got our own Instagram page for the business, but people will come and see them, just like what I did with you.
Mhm.
I looked at your testimonials. So I'm going to drive that home. But in terms of monetary values, like if I can be doing averaging out like 100K a month over a 12-month period, I think that's what's next year's going to be like.
Yeah, I don't see any reason for that not to happen. I think you'll be surprised too with how smooth it's going to be,
Yeah.
especially because you've got a lot of foundations laid really strong already, right? It's taken a few months to really kind of like iron out all the kinks and really build that foundation. Like you said, you had to kind of get clear on the offer, the positioning, and then the sales process and the ads. So now you've got a good grasp on like how all that works.
Mm-hmm.
And now you know how to do that for literally the rest of the time you're running your business for.
Yeah.
So it's super cool. And it's only going to get better from here too. Like
Yeah.
the way I see it is like you've got the 80% down. Now it's just a matter of like making those little hyper optimization, like 1% tweaks
Mm-hmm.
on certain aspects of the whole business. That's going to really like take you to the next level. And then like what we talked about before too, really just leaning into being more of Louisa. I think that's also going to like really solidify that foundation too, and really take things to the next level, being like unapologetic as
Yeah.
well.
Funnily enough, all of the graduates, I call them, have become so obsessed with my model, which I'm happy because I'm creating me, because I'm utterly obsessed. And I've worked on this program, I can't tell you for how long, and it's been reviewed by 15 to 20 other professionals. So it is very high quality. It's my heart and soul. I've got all these people so bought in that now they're saying, them emailing, when is level 2 coming out? And with anatomy and physiology, I'm like, you know what? I put it out there on the Slack group. There's about 50 people in the Slack group. I said, thinking of doing a level 2, which focuses on vision, who's in, everyone's like, when is this ready? And so I'm like, when you build this community, you can just drop something, and that's not, you don't even have, that's not part of the marketing mix, right? Because
Yeah.
they're already there. And so they're desperate for me. They're like, when are you doing a level 2?
Hmm. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I remember we were talking about this too. He's like, you got a decent sized audience already. And when we were first kind of like getting the ball rolling with things, I noticed a little bit of like hesitancy for you to talk about the offer and the program, stuff like that. And one of my other clients too, he struggled with the same thing. He was like making content. He's got over 100K followers now, but like when we started, he only had like 3K, and he was doing like 5K a month in the fitness space. And then I kind of just like looked at all his content. I was like, dude, I don't even know you have a program. And
Yeah.
people were getting on sales calls and they didn't even know he had a program too. So he was like reluctant to talk about the fact that he had a program. And then once he did that, he did like 40K the next month. And I think it was like kind of a similar thing with you, but now it's like, yes, you got to do that on the front end to actually get customers. But then now, like with the level 2, because you just over delivered, you built a really strong community. Everyone just got tons of value. It's like, I think one of the things I told you before was like, there's people in your audience that are like begging to get closer to you. And like they want a way to talk to you on a much like, or learn from you on a much more intimate basis.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you notice that with your one-on-one clients, even with like the NAC program as well. And now we're seeing it's like the clients that have already bought something from you, now they want to keep buying from you.
Yeah.
And I think that just, speaks to your level of commitment and dedication to over delivering. So I want to commend you for that, because that's incredible. And not too many people can say that they have that. So that serves as the foundation of your business, which is very, very powerful. So great work
Yeah.
there.
Well, you got it. Yeah. And you got to love what you do. Like,
Yeah.
I'd like kill myself if it was like, if I was just delivering lectures for something I didn't like, but I genuinely love it. Like when we get off the calls on our Monday nights, I'm like, I wish we could do it again tomorrow. But I'll tell you something I did learn as well from you is, you've just introduced somebody new on your team.
Mm-hmm.
I'm forgetting
Yeah.
his
No.
name. Daniel, yes. And he does regular check-ins, which is providing another level of, and so even I think about that. I'm like, the Slack group's getting big. Everyone's got questions. I'm thinking of recruiting somebody to just go in, literally their only job just to touch up what's
Mm-hmm.
happening, and then getting like, the latest science articles that we look at and putting them on there and just helping me out too. So I thought that you were going to teach me, honestly. I remember I'm in Soho in Manhattan. So I was just riding around. I'm like, look, if he can just teach me how to just, maybe just market this course, then, but I didn't think that now you're actually teaching me how to build an actual business. It's like, yeah,
Hmm. I
interesting.
remember that too. Like on the sales
Yeah.
call, you're like, hey, I just want to get X amount of people in the in-person
Yeah.
workshop in like a month. I was like, all right, we'll see what we can do. But
Yeah.
um I did have, I was like, okay, well, we'll do that first. And then like maybe I should have been more transparent on the front end, but I was like, we'll do an online thing.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome. And yeah, a big thing with that too. So that would pretty much just be getting like a dedicated client success manager, somebody to check in with your clients, make sure that they're applying everything, understanding everything properly and stuff like that. We can definitely have a conversation about that too, and help you find somebody good for that role. But another thing as well is like, the better of a job they do at that, then there's opportunity for kind of like what you said with level two upsells.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're making more per customer.
Mm-hmm.
And um, there's a quote as well. I might butcher this, but I heard it from Alex Mosey. He said, like, you're not trying to get a customer to make a sale. So you want to make a sale to get a customer. So you sold them already once, but now they're a customer and they're going to be repeat buyers from here on out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then you don't have to go like spear hunting every single week, every single month to find new customers. Now you're building a base of paying customers who are happy, who want to keep learning and keep buying from you too. And that's where the compound effect's really going to kick in too. So like 3 to 6 months out from now, it's going to be pretty cool to see where things evolve from here.
But also with the online thing, right? I was seeing prior to that, these people coming in for a 2-day workshop. And then on Sunday, I'd give them their certificates. And then I never see them again. Like I would never have contact with them because I didn't have an online thing. And I remember they used to ask me, and this is just because I just didn't have the knowledge, but they would ask me like, how do we get in contact with you if you've got questions? I'm like, I don't know, email me, I guess. But that wasn't creating community. And these guys now, it's like, yeah. So
That's awesome. Any piece of advice to kind of wrap things up here for somebody who is maybe where you were before, kind of struggling with some of the same things, just kind of like trying to get things off the ground a little bit, and maybe in the beginner stages of putting together a new offer, and then also for those looking to scale too, what would you say?
I have to transparently say what I think, and that is, it is not your responsibility to know. Well, let's change it. I mean, it's not, you shouldn't have to know how to be the best marketer or the best at business if that's not what your job is. If your job is, if you are a fitness coach or you're a photographer or you're in whatever it is, that is what you have to be the best at. And so you should hire somebody the way I did with Jeremy, who can actually teach you and guide you and lead you on how, best practices for how to do paid leads, how to build a business, how to build a community. And I think most people get scared because they think that they can do everything, but it turns out you can't. And you shouldn't have to be. So don't think that you know everything, and also take the leap, because it's just the same as, if you were and if you wanted to go into the NFL, you need a coach with you. If you wanted to play any sport, if you wanted to learn how to play tennis, you have to get a coach, because they know 100x what you know.
Powerful.
Yeah,
Powerful.
I'm going to end one thing by saying, what you do really well, I don't think you would have such a good community. I don't think you would motivate me if you weren't doing what you're doing as well. Like I see you basically like doing everything you taught us, and you're also getting coaching. Like, if I didn't see that, because I follow you on Instagram, if I didn't see that you were also bought into your own thesis, it probably wouldn't motivate me. Yeah.
That's a really, really good point, especially in like the coaches niche that I'm in. There's a lot of people who aren't eating their own cooking.
That's another one-liner.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. They're trying to teach somebody a recipe of something they haven't cooked before,
Yeah.
and boggles my mind. But that said, I think that's a good place to end it. Louisa, I really, really appreciate you hopping on here as well. Again, congratulations. You've been absolutely crushing it. Total blast to work with too. It's been so much fun. And I still feel like we haven't even scratched the surface. We've got so much more potential as well. So yeah, we'll chat about that client success manager and really just kind of ramping things up, tightening up the ship even more, and then being able to scale even further from here. So again, congratulations. Thanks for hopping on. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Jeremy.